Alrighty. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for
Cool.
attending Delt Week 3.0. Today we have Dr. Travis Stewart on. He's a recent graduate of Parker University. He now practices in somewhere in Colorado, correct?
Boulder, Colorado.
Boulder, Colorado. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to Dr. Travis. Go ahead and leave any questions that you'd like to ask or answered in the chat, and we'll get to them as they come up.
Thanks, Mason. How do I see all? Am I gonna have to figure out how to do this? Oh, switch to gallery view. That's how I do it. Okay, cool. What's up, guys? Hey, Grant. All right, so Dr. Travis Stewart, like you said, recent graduate of Parker, which is crazy because it wasn't that recent. Now, looking back, August 6th of last year, coming up on a year in practice. I actually already surpassed my year in practice, which is pretty cool. We opened October 5th in Boulder, Colorado. Let me back up. So in school, dedicated myself to learning the philosophy, the art, and the science of chiropractic. And I didn't realize how valuable that would be until even now, a year into practice, I'm still on the daily. Just like being able to speak to these people with conviction. First off, I'll start by saying that you're going to be met with a lot of skepticism whenever you get out of school. So make sure that you are not mastering the art, science, and philosophy, but that you are on the path to mastery, that you are pursuing, what you believe to be mastery, especially right now in these hard times. We're getting a lot of criticism, a lot in the media, with all of the anti-vaccination talk and like whatever they're trying to like clump us together as a profession. And so people are coming in every day. They don't know why they're in your office. They know they need to be there, but they're highly skeptical right now. So you have to be on point. So you have to optimize your communication. And in order for you to do that, you have to understand this stuff at an extremely deep level by the time that you graduate, especially if you plan on starting your own business like I did, which I will tell you, people talk about like the glorious aspects, and they kind of glorify like jumping straight into practice right out of school. And it's fucking hard, man. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. And I'll be the first person to tell you that. And I'll be the first person to tell you that I don't know shit. And that when I was sitting in your seat, I thought I knew a lot more than I do now. It's taken like a year of self-reflection and self-analysis to understand that like I'm a freaking novice at this game. So that's just, setting the foundation here. This is just my story. These are just things that are my personal opinion and things that worked for me, things that didn't work for me. I think you should take this information, sift through it, like whatever you enjoy, whatever you kind of resonate with, and then take it and make it yours. But not everything that I say you're going to agree with, and that's cool. I think that's the beauty of this. I wish there was more of those open discussions as it relates to the current state of affairs. So start just by kind of giving my background in school. I was obsessed. I was obsessed with biomechanics. I was obsessed with just like osteokinematics. I was obsessed with just like learning the spine, obviously, just so that I could be the best technical adjuster that I could be. But I was also obsessed with understanding what kind of value this provided to the public and what kind of value this provided to the individual on the table. I think in a lot of cases, there are cases that I've seen, people get really into the technique and kind of understanding how to cavitate a joint, but they don't really understand like the depth of what it is that we do, and kind of the changes that we can make in these people's bodies, as well as the ripple effect it has in their life and kind of the generational health that is to follow. That's been like one of the most fulfilling things to me, is kind of seeing what kind of impact we can not only make on one individual, but their entire community, which is pretty rewarding. But I was a member of KTC, thankfully, try to just kind of like hopped into this weird club where they were making me breathe fast and say shit about myself that I really didn't believe in the moment. And, I felt a little intimidated because of a very masculine kind of like persona that I was picking up on, but I was very wrong in my initial kind of observation of what that club was going to offer me and what that club was going to offer my life. So I kind of dove in, became a rep and a club facilitator, and then started teaching for other clubs on campus, teaching in the back of the classroom any chance I could. I was always told that there were cameras in the class, or the cameras were operable in the classroom. If they were, they have a lot of video evidence of me illegally performing chiropractic manipulative therapy, as it's referred to at Parker University, on other individuals in the back of the classroom and showing people how to do that. And I never really had a vision for what was to come after chiropractic school. I just knew I wanted to be the best that I could be in the moment. So I dedicated myself to it, dedicated myself to getting up in the morning. I was training my body. I was training my mind. I was training my technique. I was training my precision. And like I said, I didn't realize how valuable that was going to be until now. And I'm still on the daily I wish I could come back and talk to you guys more, especially in person, because I would definitely be insisting upon obsession and attaining a very elite level skill set. Because I can tell you right now, being in Boulder, Colorado, there's nobody in this area, and I'm saturated. I'm completely surrounded by chiropractors. And I will tell you, I would put my skill set up against any other chiropractor in this area skill set. And I've been out of school for 10, 11 months. And I have so much more to learn. And that doesn't say anything about me. It really just says something about the complacency that I see within the profession when it comes to the delivery of the chiropractic adjustment. When I was about probably a tri-6, I had the opportunity this was a really kind of like divine alignment that occurred. This girl was like walking by one day in the parking lot, and she was like, "Hey, you're a facilitator for KTC, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" And she was like, "Well, I have this guy that I want to bring to our school, but I don't really know anybody. I don't have a big influence in my class, but his name is Paulo Feely. And I was wondering if you'd be interested in maybe like talking to him and seeing if there was any interest in you representing his seminar for me. I know that's kind of your thing, and we can like co-rep it. But I really like to get him here." And I was like, "Yeah, I've been seeing like some pictures of this guy in a circle with people, pretty like hefty African-American dude." And it was kind of intriguing. So that was the only, memory I had of him or his name. And I reached out to him, and we hopped on a Zoom call, and I think we probably talked for like an hour and a half, and I knew I was down. So I brought Paulo Feely to Parker for the first time, and he literally blew my mind with not necessarily like a copious amount of information, but it was just things that were not being taught on campus. There was things that were not being taught in the classroom, even in our business classes where we were spending, 4 months sitting in this seat for 2 hours at a time, and literally didn't learn a single freaking piece of useful information that could be applied to chiropractic practice. And I learned more than I had in the past 2.5 years within 2.5 days with Paulo Feely. So I started to see that starting my own practice was right out of school was a possibility. And it was going to take money, and it was going to take sacrifice, and it was going to take teamwork by my wife and I, because we wanted to do it together. That's our practice name right there, Move, if you weren't aware of that previously. And we are chiropractic and yoga, which means that my wife teaches kind of, I don't like to call it corrective exercise, but she just reconnects people to their body through movement after they get up off the table, being reconnected to their body through chiropractic. So it's a pretty powerful model, but just starting to create that vision at Tri7 was imperative, looking back. And that's the first thing that I would start to tell you. First off, it's not right for everybody. I'm going to go ahead and say that right now. starting your practice right out of school is not right for everybody. If you feel like you want to go associate, if you feel like you want to go independent contract, like put your pride aside and do what's best for you. You don't have to jump out and go throw down 30K and run uphill the way we did, especially amidst the pandemic. You can go learn under somebody's tutelage and really kind of find yourself in a really good mentorship position that serves you well and serves your future. So just saying that right off the bat. I know Dr. Paul speaks pretty polarizing about that. He's like, you need to be open in your own practice. Otherwise you're making somebody else money, but you're also learning a shitload of information on somebody else's dime. Because this isn't easy. Just like feeling the need to collect a certain amount of money to meet your overhead is very stressful. But I digress. My wife and I decided that we wanted to potentially open up our own practice, and we traveled to Colorado Springs, spent a little bit of time there, realized that we thoroughly enjoyed the mountains, and decided that we were just going to take the leap against all odds. We still had no clue that COVID was in the near future, but we kind of went through the remaining 3.5 tries, building out our vision, building out our logo, building out what we kind of saw to be an extremely unique approach and model that was very cohesive with our relationship. We felt a lot of internal resonance when it came to move chiropractic and yoga. As soon as we saw it come back from our graphic designer, we knew that was us. So we chose Boulder, Colorado on a whim. We knew absolutely no one in this city, and we had to build a reputation here. I graduated August 6th. We left Dallas September 15th. We ended up here September 16th. We opened our practice October 5th. It cost us $30,000 to open our practice. So that is the amount that I would suggest you trying to acquire either through your Grad Plus student loan or from family investors, anything like that. 30K is the mark that I suggest in order to get high quality materials. You're going to want a pretty good table. Thule's the table for me. I got the Thule portable, the Tour portable, I believe. And that table's solid. I still adjust people on that. Some of the largest people I adjust, I put them on the Thule Tour because that thing's a freaking workhorse and it provides really good ground reaction force. I have the elevating Thule and it's just too soft. It disperses force amongst the cushion. These are all little things that you're going to be taking in whenever you get into practice that make a huge difference. But opened up a subleased from an individual, which I don't really, suggest unless you know the person. It was a chiropractor that he is a little bit disconnected from reality. He spends a lot of time with ayahuasca, and he comes back and he's just a little unsettled when it comes to human interactions. So it made a business relationship a little weird, but we started with nothing, dude. We started with absolutely nothing. And luckily we had Paulo Fila to kind of guide us into our digital marketing. And so another thing that I highly suggest you kind of becoming okay with is putting yourself out there with a digital marketing effort, whether that be through education, whether that be through kind of like a presentation of skill set, which is what I chose. So I just made a couple of adjusting videos, put a little bit of text over the top, a little bit of music, and put it out there for the community to see. And we started getting some feedback, and it brought in some individuals at the beginning of our practice that were very, I don't want to say low quality because that's a terrible judgment to put on someone, but they were not our ideal clients. And so we were spending a lot of time with individuals that didn't want to be in our office. They weren't saying yes to the doctor. They weren't saying yes to chiropractic. They were saying yes to an inexpensive offer. So they wanted to come in and get a cheap adjustment. And that's what we did for a while. And, there were a couple of individuals within that first group of leads that were our people, and they've been with us from the jump, which was super cool. But it was a lot of stress, and it was a lot of chaos. And I spent a lot of time staring out the window, waiting to watch people pull into the parking lot that no showed us, you know, with like my freaking heart in my throat, you know, like this is probably one of the greatest personal development and growth challenges that you can ever put yourself into, is putting it all on the line like this and burning the ships. You know, like that's what I would absolutely suggest. If you're going to do this and it's not going to be your side hustle, like you got to go all in. You got to give everything you have to creating a sustainable organic practice with a, you know, a very loyal clientele. We've had a very loyal clientele that we aligned with due to our philosophy and as well due to my skill set. So that was the thing that set us apart from the get-go. They would get down on the table, these people who had been getting adjusted for 20 years, possibly, they'd lay down on our table, and I would, you know, I would clear myself and just serve as they were. And it was, you know, they would get up and their eyes would kind of still be spinning. They're like, I don't know what just happened, but I want that as often as you're willing to, you know, allow me here. And so again, going back to the skill set, freaking hone in on your skill set, man. The business is built around your skill set. It's not about what you do, it's who you are. And I know that, but whenever they feel that in your field, whenever they feel that from your heart in your communication in that first consultation or whatever, you know, that's when they understand that you are a human being, that they trust and value your opinion. But when you put your hands on them and it's next level stuff, it really just sets you apart. So freaking first piece of advice to running a successful business, especially straight after school, learn how to adjust. I can't say that enough. I'll probably say that 10 more times on this video conference. But you know, we figured out a lot. So I understood that I had subpar communication and a subpar ability to ask people for money for this service that we provided, especially at the level that we were providing it, because most of my service experience came in a, you know, a free environment. So we'd be out in Peru or El Salvador or out at the homeless shelter in Dallas there. And that was where I was seeing like my largest quantity of people, but never did I have to ask anyone to compensate me financially for what I was providing. So, and that's the thing about chiropractic is like, how do you put a number on this? You know, how do you choose a value for the life-changing service that you're able to provide with your hands, heart, and connection, you know? That was a very difficult task. So we looked around at different offices. We chose $70 for an adjustment, which some people think is high. I worked in an office where their average collections per visit was like $31, something like that. They were seeing 750 people a week, but they were slaving, man. It was like an industrial farm, and they were just freaking 5 docs, 750 people a week. And it was like $30 an adjustment. So just to give you guys an understanding, we charge $70 per adjustment. We charge $50 per private one-on-one session with Sarah. We do care plans that are generally about 24 adjustments over a course of 12 weeks. And right now we're on the trajectory to collecting $50,000 this month within my first year of practice, which is pretty phenomenal for me, only delivering about 100 adjustments a week right now, which is still a lot of adjustments, especially when you're going in there with like full intent and you're giving everything you have, every impulse that you put into someone's system. It takes a lot out of your body. So you better be, you know, create a pretty good restorative routine for yourself that you stay consistent with every single day. And we can talk about what that looks like for me a little bit later on. Is this good? Am I missing questions here? Is there any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you mentioned at the very beginning of the call that you kind of experienced some humbling experiences. Do you think you can talk a little bit about some of the setbacks that you experienced that really kind of humbled you, that made you change your trajectory, change what you were doing, or, you know, change it for the better?
Yeah. A couple of them were, it was really just humbling to leave the mindset that I had when I was in school, where I felt like I was at the top of my game and I had a lot to, share, a lot to give the world, a lot to give the university, a lot to give the club, a lot to give the individual that I was mentoring, a lot to give the individual that I was sharing some technique with, that I was sharing philosophy with, that I was sharing some of the science with that I had accumulated. I felt like I was, at the top of my class in several different areas. So I kind of expected when I planted my flag, wherever that was, that I was going to, yeah, we'll talk about that. That I was going to be, almost like overwhelmed with the flood of people coming in to experience what I had to offer. And so that was the first humbling experience for sure, was planting my flag. And like I showed up, and I think I talked about this last time I was in the house, but I showed up and Sarah and I were like ready, and we were like chomping at the bit. We had put so much work and effort into this. I'd put so much work, 4:30 in the morning outside, like practicing my strikes and like line of drives and my impulses. And like, I felt so ready. And we got here and put all of our life savings on the line, and like nobody showed up. It was like, we didn't start seeing people for like the first, probably the third week. We had one person that Madison had gone to high school with. It was a barber here, and she was our first patient, thankfully, first client. And but other than that, it was just like there was no one here for us. So that was the first like kind of like bath in humility, like that I'm gonna have to build a reputation from scratch. I'm gonna have to serve almost with like no expectation for return. Like these people were coming in, and like I knew they weren't gonna be my people, but I still had to like become a hollow bone and like just serve them from my heart. And so that was a struggle for me for sure. Was kind of like removing attachment to reciprocation or compensation. They were coming in for a $47 adjustment, and that's all they cared about, and I still had to deliver the best adjustment that I knew how to serve the person on the table. So that we still carry that mantra, like that's still what we do here. Every time somebody walks through the door, it doesn't matter like where they are, we meet them where they're at. We service them at the highest level that we can, regardless of whether they're our ideal client or not. And so I think by doing that, we've created a pretty incredible following that has just perpetuated our reputation in this area. And now our digital marketing is like maybe we get 1 to 2 people every 2 weeks. Other than that, we're strictly referral based. Did that answer your question, Mason? Was that Mason that asked the question?
Yes, you answered it very well. Thank you so much for that.
Okay, I had another question in the chat. I just don't know how to get there. Chat. As far as managing student loans and business loans, what is your advice, especially with opening a business straight out of school? So student loans is, that's a good question. Student loans is actually easier to manage than it seems, because you have the ability to go on an income-based repayment schedule. And the way that you set that up, as long as you're a professional corporation, then you can pay yourself a salary that is much lower than you're actually taking home. So I think the government thinks that I make $30,000 a year. So I'm paying like $67 a month for my student loans, because it goes based on income to expense ratio, and the cost of living in Boulder is extremely high. So they're like, this guy can't live, very well on $30,000 a year. So we'll just charge him $67. And I think if I pay that, you have to report every year. So there has to be an update, but we'll probably keep the payroll extremely low, and I'll just take owner's draws. But you can pay that for like 25 years, I believe is what they stated. And then after that, I will just have to pay the taxes on whatever is forgiven. So there's really easy ways to go about repaying your student loans if that's something you don't mind hanging over your head. I don't really care. It's not something that I'm like, I gotta pay that off. Let's go double, triple, quadruple payments and get that shit out of the way. Like to me, I leverage debt. in order to build, the wealth. And I don't just mean monetary wealth, but just the happiness that and the time and financial freedom that we have accumulated over the past, 16, 15 months. But business loans, you mentioned, it's going to be really hard for you to get a business loan right out of school, especially right now. Loan repayment is almost at like an all-time low. People are defaulting on their loans like crazy because nobody's making any money right now. So it's going to be really hard unless you have excellent credit with a cosigner to get a business loan from. It's going to have to be from a small bank that you have built a relationship with, or your parents have built a relationship with. Other than that, what I suggest is just sucking Grad Plus dry, pretty much. Just take Grad Plus, put it aside. I'm not sure what the legality is on that, so I don't know if I should be saying that on this recorded session, but it's definitely something that you should leverage because you have it as a resource to tap into right now. All you have to do is walk into the office, fill out the paper, and they'll give you money. And it's not going to be that easy anywhere else. So that's definitely the route that I would take if I were in your shoes. Let me get back. I had a couple of things written down, dude. I'm sorry. I told Grant that I was going to come up with a PowerPoint presentation because that's my style, but we've literally been busier than ever and I've never got around to it. So I planned on winging it, and that's why this is kind of a mess. So I'll go back to sales. This is a huge part of running your own practice. Did that answer your question, Madison? Before I move on? Yes. Okay. If anybody else has any questions, you can throw in the chat too, because I'll be attentive to this. To sales. So one thing that I highly suggest for everyone is to, I didn't really like the concept of Launch Club when I was in school because I believe it overshadowed the technique and the deliverance of what we provided. A lot of the individuals that I spent time with in Launch Club, they were learning a specific technique that I believe is extremely powerful, but I believe they were learning it as an easier road to competency. And looking back, I wish I would have spent more time in one of those clubs, kind of understanding how to communicate chiropractic on a very layman's level, and then kind of understanding the sales process and understanding marketing of what we do. But if you're not going to dedicate time or sacrifice time to go in and learn that stuff in a club setting, then definitely get to a sales-based seminar and a communication-based seminar and a business-based seminar, whether that be through Paulo Fili. One of my favorites is Brad Glowacki. I don't think that his stuff is right for everybody. At least if you're going to utilize all of his kind of techniques and his principles to the T. It definitely wasn't for me when it comes to doing things exactly as he preaches. But it's something that you can take and put your own spin on it, which is exactly what we did. When we flew in and we went to Dallas to Glow's Elements of the Closing seminar. That was the last time I was at DSC House. It literally transformed our practice. So we went from, collecting a very small amount of money per month, which, you can say whatever you want about people tracking collections and money. It's just a reflection of the amount of people that you're serving and the amount of people that have committed themselves to life transformation through chiropractic. That's why I like care plans, because when you meet people where they are, first off, it's generally at the level of pain. So they're coming into your office because they're feeling something in their body that they're not really sure how to address and manage on their own. They also just don't understand the signaling process that their body's carrying out. So they come in and they tell you about some things that they're struggling with, and you have the opportunity to take them from where they are to where they can or need to be. Like we get the opportunity to kind of provide as much of an evolution of the collective as any other profession in the world. And I think I think it's because we get to meet people that don't understand the human body, that don't understand vitalism, that don't understand their innate intelligence, that don't understand their natural immune system, that don't understand a lot of these things that we could talk about in depth as individual topics. And they're coming to you for your advice, and you have so much more to deliver them than any other profession in the world, I believe. And the only way I believe that you can do that is through time. There's a couple of people that whenever they lay down on the table, after you remove your hands, you recoil, and the adjustment is made, and the integration kind of takes hold. Like, some people get it right away. But the majority of the people that I've seen, they've been so programmed and they've been so like brainwashed that it takes incremental doses over time in order for them to start to see the light. And so we started doing care plans right after we started practice. We thought we wanted to do a membership model, which is a fantastic model, but now we've made that our continuity model. So we go through a care plan at first, and then once we kind of are approaching the end of the care plan and they've made incredible progress in so many different areas of their life, then we start talking about wellness. And when that wellness re-exam or the re-exam takes place, then we provide them with an opportunity to pay a much lower rate and still receive the value of what we offer through a wellness membership. And our platinum membership, I believe, is $248 a month, and it comes with 4 adjustments per month with unlimited yoga class, which is a steal for people. And if they don't want to participate in yoga, then it's $198 for our gold membership, which is 4 adjustments a month. So I think that comes out to $49.50. Initially, they're paying $70 per month, or $70 an adjustment, sorry. So they get a pretty substantial discount. And usually by that point, they're like, I'm not going to live without this stuff. So they're easily converted to a lifetime wellness member, which is what you want. So I think that's like the gold in the care plans. I know a lot of people that see visit to visit, and it takes a lot of stress out of your practice. But it also, we're just talking about statistics here. I think like practices that see individual visits, so visit by visit, they pay visit by visit. Their like average patient visit rate is like 2.5. That means people are only coming in 2.5 times ever. Like, if you're going to want to assist somebody either through a transitional process or a transformational process, it's going to take more time. You all know that. So that's something that I immediately understood. I thought I was going to be a visit by visit practice. I thought I was going to be a lot of things that I don't currently do, and I'm not currently practicing. So sales, sorry. You have to learn how to ask. So the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions that you ask. So the initial consultation is freaking huge. So whenever you start asking people like, how are you moving? How are you breathing? How are you sleeping? How are you eating? How are you thinking? Do you have a mindfulness practice? Okay, what are you currently struggling with? What are you currently challenged by? That's usually how I word it. I'm like, I'm not asking them about their pain. I'm asking them about what they're currently challenged by or struggling with. What main challenge brings you into the office? They start talking about those things. They start telling you, this long story that has been on repeat for I don't know how many years. Usually it's revolves around some sort of pain and sensation that they feel in their body that they wish they didn't. So then I begin to ask them questions that they didn't expect to get from me. And it's generally, okay, like if we got that pain gone, if we rid you of that type of discomfort in your shoulder, then what would you fill that with? And I think that's when things start to shift for them, when they start to understand that this is a lifestyle, it's not a band-aid. And a lot of their answers are, I would fill it with more ambitious training towards a life goal of mine to run a half marathon in Tucson, Arizona or something, you know, and then we start to like discover kind of like their greater purpose and things that they subscribe to that are larger than themselves. That was not the best example. A lot of it has to do with their family. A lot of it has to do with distractions that they have that takes them away from their family. A lot of the men will say, well, it makes me irrational. It makes me emotional. It makes me emotionally unstable, and I'm not able to show love and support to my female partner. And you know, like to me, like that's the fucking depth. So whenever you start asking them questions, you can even start to do this in clinic. You know, you don't have to ask them. You can ask them about their ADLs. Obviously, that kind of leads into the deeper layers of questions. But start asking people questions that matter. And whenever you start asking people questions that matter, first it shows who you are as a human being, but it also shows the possibility and the potential of what we have to provide. Which I think is huge, because you know they're coming in here thinking I'm a backcracker that's going to you know, maybe try to sell them on some hocus pocus that doesn't really work, and they already know that. They already think that I'm a used car salesman before they walk into the office, because they've experienced that 3 other times in other chiropractic offices that aren't asking good questions, and that maybe aren't serving at a deeper level than a need for monetary compensation to cover their overhead. So that is a piece of advice to start implementing now. You know, start asking people, what are, you know, 3 quantifiable goals that we could utilize to show progress throughout this process. Okay, what are life goals that are completely unrelated to this? Great. How can I support you in attaining those life goals? You know, start to ask them questions that make them scratch their head, and you know, they'll come up with better questions, and then the conversation just continues to spiral upward. Creates a lot of connection. Invest in yourself. Definitely need to be creating a parallel curriculum right now. Are we good here? What time is it? Okay. Invest in yourself. You need to be spending time in seminars. You need to be spending time in adjusting seminars for sure. But like I said, if you can get to a Glowacki seminar, if you can get to, there's a bunch of different companies out there now that are teaching this stuff, and it's all good because it'll give you a foundation and you can put your own spin on it. But I'll just kind of go into some of the business development stuff. You got to create a vision. So you got to see what it looks, smells like. You got to create a name, a logo, services rendered, geographic location, operating space. I definitely suggest you using a corporate or a commercial realtor if you are looking for a space. They're going to be able to negotiate rates with you. They're going to be able to negotiate a free base rent. They're going to be able to negotiate a TI or a tenant's allowance, so that I can take you guys around our practice here. They paid for almost all of our build out, which was awesome. That was only because I had a commercial realtor that was able to assist me through the negotiation. Also got me 6 months of free rent that was taken off, 3 months of free rent that was taken off the top of my first 12 months in this building, which is significant because I'm in Boulder and it's $4,000 a month for this building just for base rent. So that helped us out. Just took a lot of stress off so that I was able to serve people from a genuine place of abundance and not scarcity or stress trying to make even more money. You got to accumulate capital. Like I said, you got to be resourceful. Student loans, graduation gifts, you can do some fundraising stuff. We sold t-shirts, which was cool, but we had already had our logo created. I know Spencer's kind of in that place right now. So it's a good place to be. If you're doing the work right now, like you can leverage that stuff. People want to support you. People want to help you, especially your people. They've seen the work that you've put in. Don't be afraid to ask for assistance, because you're going to be giving that back. It's law of reciprocity. Like you're going to be giving that back tenfold, whether it be to that individual or the community that you're serving. So for logo design and branding stuff, we used a graphic designer in El Salvador that was really inexpensive, and he did absolutely incredible work. And if anybody wants his name or contact information, if they're working on something, let me know. I can send you his stuff. I love supporting him. His name's Guillermo, and he created our brand stuff, and it cost us like $75. And I looked at other people, and it was between $750 and $1,000 just to do some of the work that I think he did perfectly. Website creation, we like Wix. You got to come up with the email newsletter stuff. So we usually do an announcement, something informative, and I don't remember the third thing is. But you kind of come up with these like itemized templates so that we have a social media template, we have a newsletter template. So I have the binder right here. This week's team tasks. So we have team meetings every week. We go over that stuff. But social media template. So I don't know if you guys will be able to see this. Can you see that? I don't know. I can send you this stuff if you want me to. Adjustment video, yoga video, problem solution, some kind of content like that, before and after patient spotlight, and an announcement. And so that's just something that we're going to be implementing every week. But just like systematizing this stuff so that it becomes easy, because this stuff is extremely important, but it's tedious and it takes too much fucking time, and it takes you away from what really matters. That's what I found. I haven't had social media on my phone for 2 months. So that's why I've been pretty inactive. If I am on there, it's because I hop on there and do something from my internet browser. But I just feel so liberated not having that restraint there. Got it. So setting up a corporation, that's going to be dependent upon what what state you're going to be practicing in. So in Texas, you can open an LLC, which is limited liability. You want to have as much, you want to limit your liability, pretty much limit your risk. You always want as much safety as possible, especially as a business. And I'm starting to understand that. We had an individual the other day that came in. We weren't wearing masks, and Ryan wasn't wearing a mask at the front. And this woman had paid in full for our care plan, and had already started seeing Sarah and was seeing tremendous results. And she walked in one day and Ryan wasn't wearing a mask and I wasn't wearing a mask, and I was adjusting people and nobody in our office was wearing a mask. It wasn't even during the mask mandate. And she started drilling Ryan on whether he was vaccinated or not. And he was like, well, I'm fully immunized. And she was like, what does that even mean? He was like, well, we all did the antibody test and I have antibodies present. So I am, naturally immune, or he was just trying to describe it to her. And she was like, that's fucking bullshit. You're not vaccinated and you're putting all of us at risk. And she freaked out. She called the health department. She called like 5 other chiropractic practices in the area. We loved her in and we loved her out. So she came back to my office and we had a pretty heated discussion where I told her that I believed in medical freedom and autonomy, and that I wasn't going to mandate my employees to make, any decision that I wouldn't make myself, and that I was letting them make informed decisions. And then she wrote a letter saying that I told her that this is America and it's a free country and all this stuff, which was completely incorrect. I never said any of those things. But we got a strike. So from the Boulder Health Department, and had to let my malpractice insurance know, which we can talk about too, just to kind of give them a heads up. But you're dealing with people that are currently just being overwhelmed with this fear-based narrative, and you never really know what to expect right now. People are acting out of character. I don't truly believe that that's who she was. I believe, unfortunately, her physiology kind of, overtook the situation, and she started, creating division between us. And then it was like us versus her. Whenever we were in, we were her greatest support team. We were her greatest support system. So you have to just, make sure it doesn't matter how in integrity you are and authentic and genuine and compassion you are to these people. Sometimes things happen. So make sure you have good malpractice, make sure you have limited liability. But that going back to the LLC. So in Colorado, you have to be a professional corporation if you're a healthcare practice. So just make sure that whenever you start to set up your business, you know what geographical location you're going to be in and what those state laws require. So we're a professional corporation, which means that there are certain little tax things that we can utilize in our favor, specifically the thing that I was talking about with the student loans. So I can pay myself a very low salary, even slightly below average salary as a new business in this area. And I'm paying my wife more than I'm being paid myself. So just all really good things to understand as a business owner. Systems and procedures. So another thing that I never really was aware of previously is you have to systematize things. So something that has significantly improved our conversion ratio recently. We're at like 96% conversion over the past 30 days, simply because we started a phone call algorithm where every person that calls our office now, Ryan and I, my office manager, sat down and we created this algorithm where he asks them questions and puts the power of choice into their hands. So a lot of things that you'll learn at some of these sales seminars is that it's my way or the highway. So they're like, you come in, you get your initial consultation, we'll do your x-rays, and then you sit down for your report of findings and you give them your care plan recommendation. If they do not sign up for your care plan recommendation, they do not get adjusted because you don't do one-off adjustments. That's like most chiropractic offices that are doing care plans are not, they don't allow one-off adjustments, which means that they're not going to adjust people that are not on one of their prescribed care packages, which their reasoning is pretty solid. So they don't want people coming in and experiencing one chiropractic adjustment, not getting the relief that they want or they believe they should have, and then start dogging what we do because they didn't give it a shot. So I do understand that, but we found a different way to go about it. And so every person that calls, we tell them, hi, this is Move Chiropractic and Yoga. This is Ryan. How may I help you? Okay, great. How'd you hear about us? Okay, that's awesome. We love so-and-so. She's a great member of our practice. So we're mainly a referral-based practice. So that's good to hear. We're already planting the seeds there. And then it is, what exactly are you looking for? Okay, great. Have you ever been to a chiropractor before? Yes or no? Okay, great. Well, so what we're known for is our 90-day custom care programs where we combine chiropractic and corrective exercise through yoga, as well as nutritional support to kind of help you create long-term sustainable changes over time and empowering you to address and manage your body on your own for as long as you live. And but we also have other options here. That would be going through our entire initial consultation, which is blah 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 blah. If you're looking for a less expensive option with less time commitment, then we also have another membership option available. That's going to be much cheaper in cost, but also offer a high level of value. Which one of those options do you think would work best for you? And they always choose the care plan route. So we've had one person choose the membership route. But previously, whenever we would sit down and go through the report of findings, and then we would draw out the care plan for them, and I'd, get down to the financial aspect, and I'm like, which one of these options do you think would work best for you? The paid in full or the 3 installments? They're like, oh, I didn't know that it was going to be this much of an investment. And I just don't think I'm ready for that type of time commitment and all of these other objections that I was terrible at meeting because I was not in sales previously. I'm a chiropractor. I've gotten better, but now we don't need to do that because they're choosing the commitment from the get-go. So I think giving people the ability to choose before they even step foot in your door is extremely powerful. What else am I? You can see if there's anything else that I want to. Yeah, you got to formulate your day 1, day 2 process. You got to start creating patient education stuff right now. So that was something that I'm very grateful that I did. I spent a lot of time creating education on vagus nerve, on prefrontal cortex, on 200 millisecond precise inputs, on just like different like blog post almost, but now we use it for all of our educational content. We tell people what to expect after their first adjustment, which is something that you have to do because especially if you're doing osseous adjustments, like people have some pretty crazy responses to them. It's an input to their nervous system. A lot of time it down regulates their sympathetic nervous system so greatly that before they even get out the door, they're like, kind of like spinning, like they need to find a bed. We've had a lot of people that go to sleep and sleep for like 13, 15 hours and haven't slept more than 4.5 or 5 hours in 10 years. So just make sure you beat them to the punch there. Let them know there's a possibility of you being sore. There's a possibility of you having a minor headache. There's a possibility of you having maybe some muscle spasm. There's a possibility of you feeling dehydrated. There's a possibility of you feeling extremely sleepy. Like tell them anything that could possibly occur from a manual adjustment and B, a very powerful input to their nervous system, especially if you are skillful. I got it. Guillermo stuff, it will be sent. You got to identify your fee schedule. So we talked about that. Identify your price per visit, which I think that if you're coming out at a high level, that you should be right at maybe a little bit lower than your competitors in the area, just to get your doors open. And as soon as you start seeing a lot of people, people want to pay for premier level care. I tell people right off the bat, we're not the cheapest in the area, but that's because we provide a high quality of service and they always want to pay the high price. So it's almost like a psychological thing. It's like, okay, that person's giving $27 adjustments down there, but this person's giving $70 adjustments. This person's better. So I want to pursue this care, especially if I'm going to be committing 3 months of my life to putting my neck in this person's hands. So charge what you're worth. That's for sure. We can talk about care plans if anybody has a question about that. Marketing is everything. Marketing is everything that you do. So like we have this weird understanding that like marketing is just the thing that you do whenever you create a commercial and put it on Facebook. Marketing is every action that you take in your office. It's literally, the experience that they have from the moment they walk in their door, actually before they even walk into the door. So pretty much everything that's coming out of your office, whether that be the services that you're providing, the communication that you're delivering, text messages that you're sending, it doesn't matter what it is, it's marketing. So marketing is everything. Make sure it's all congruent. Make sure that you are doing things authentically because people have, pretty strong antennas and they can tell whether you're being, out of character or incongruent. So that's extremely, extremely important. And just make sure that you are communicating what kind of value you can add to people's life and what kind of problem that you can solve for them, because realistically, that's what they're looking for. They're looking to have a problem solved, and you can solve it. Not that you're like a problem solver, but you're definitely a value adder. So kind of understanding how to communicate to people what kind of value you're going to add to their life is extremely, extremely important, not just through your hands, but through your words and as well as, your office setting. Does anybody have any questions that I can kind of expound on a little bit, whether it be about numbers, money, statistics that you need to be tracking, anything specific? This is my lack of preparation that I'm looking to cover up by asking for questions. No, just Guillermo's information. Mason.
No, I was just going to say you're absolutely crushing it. You just blew everybody out of the water. We're speechless right now.
Thanks, Mason. I don't believe it.
Well, that being said, I think we're just about out of time. If you can think of any questions that you'd like to ask Dr. Travis, Correct me if I'm wrong, but you can connect with him on Instagram, and then your email, if you wouldn't mind sharing with us. We can
Sure.
reach out that way.
Nobody has questions?
Yeah,
No
Travis,
questions?
yeah, do you want to
Spencer,
talk
thank
about
you.
like your scanning and posture screening, about how that leads into your care plan selling?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so we do our initial examination and consultation is so they come in, they go through a functional movement assessment with Sarah, which is a little bit of Gray Cook stuff, just kind of with our own spin on it. And then they go through a posture and squat screen, and then a heart rate variability analysis. And then I come in and go through my consultation, which is a question asking, and just like hearing their story. And then I go through my palpation analysis, which again, another extremely important skill set to learn. Get really good with your hands. Whether or not you know what you're feeling for is like irrelevant whenever it comes to this initial aspect, because you're going to be scanning them on the table and kind of going through your own assessment every time they lie down anyway. But during this initial examination, I do a seated palpation scan, and just getting on your hands and like confidently moving through their body. I never thought I would use the MoPalp seated scan. Love it. Use it every day. Use it every day. It definitely portrays confidence and certainty in what it is that you do. And these people who are coming in off the street, they, like I said, they're skeptics at heart, man. So as soon as they come in and they're like, this guy's just going to crack my back. But when you go through every single vertebra in their spine and you're like touch and tell, you're like here, oh, here, you don't have near as much lateral flexion this way. How long has that been restricted? Oh, since I got bucked off a horse in 1996. I'm glad you asked that. Going through your assessment, I picked up the super skeptical engineer the other day that literally told me right off the bat, sorry, I'm getting off track here, but engineer came and sat down and he was like, listen, I'm only here because my wife made me come in. She's one of your patients. And I'm just telling you right now that I don't go for this used car salesman stuff. I should be in a PT's office right now. Honestly, that's probably where I'm going to go by the end of this consultation. If I start hearing you try to spool me or tell me anything that I don't think is correct, I'm going to end the conversation and end this consultation. And I was like, all right. And by the time I was done, he was out in our waiting room freaking raving. He was like, that was the best examination I've ever had. I can't believe I ever doubted you. I trust in you. You literally walk, breathe, eat, sleep, everything that you say. I can't wait to come back in here and get this started. I'm so excited. My wife is going to think this is hilarious, but I am sold on you. I'm sold on what you do, and I can't wait to come back. And that was all just based on the examination. So it's not just about delivering the adjustment. It's also about, like starting to optimize your communication, starting to optimize your ability to convey certainty through your hands. And that doesn't just happen on the adjusting table. It also happens in your examination. My examination is all hands-on. So then they come back. In the examination, I take my consultation form, and then I have an exam form that is different. I'm identifying subluxations on my examination form. The next day, Ryan prints out an entire folder that has their name on the front. It's pretty. Everybody loves it. And then we have all that educational stuff in the front pocket of the folder. And then we use I use an ANS chart, and I circle all of their subluxation areas of subluxation, which is what I start with. So I start with educating them on what subluxation is, how chiropractic can facilitate the correction of that, and what they may experience if they don't, receive chiropractic care. And that's generally explained by the ANS chart because it has all of the organ tissue cells that are innervated by the spinal nerve roots in the nervous system that exit in that area. And then we move on to the heart rate variability, which is where I start talking about the nervous system. So what I utilize quite frequently, and something that I love, let's sit on a meditation pillow for an hour. These are bothering me. So this chart here, you might not be able to see because of the reflection, but it's posture and health. So it kind of shows what people love actually is the brain image here. And so it shows that whenever you're in a flexion dominant posture, that it sparks the fight or flight physiology that shunts blood away from the frontal lobe into the fear centers of the brain. And then we start talking about the irrational behavior, the emotional instability, the physiological changes, the hormonal changes that occur. I start to show all of these things on the right side that's under the sympathetic fight or flight. And so that talks about the dilation of the pupils, inhibits salivation, accelerates heart rate, expands airways, all of these things. And they're like, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. And then I flip over to the posture chart after we've talked about heart rate variability. So now they understand the nervous system. They understand how we can affect change on the nervous system. I switch over to the posture chart after I've just gone over this. And usually as soon as I flip to that chart that shows them from a lateral view, they look exactly like the guy on the picture. So they're like, oh shit. They're like, damn it. By that time, they already understand. We took like a microscope, but we don't do x-rays here. So our ANS chart is pretty much our x-ray. And they know that that's correct. They know that that's correct because I went through my examination in a very thorough, confident fashion. They understand the detrimental effect of subluxation. Then they understand that they need to mediate their nervous system as a whole, their CNS, and then they understand how their posture is affecting their nervous system. And then I go through Sarah's stuff, which is just the functional movement assessment, and then go into the functional changes that we're going to get them through utilizing the squat screen, and then some of the other information that we have in there. But then by the time that I'm done there, I'm like, as I'm going through, I'm kind of already planting seeds on how we're going to assist them in correcting these specific areas, starting with the ANS. I'm talking about the adjustment. I'm talking about the need for the frequency in the adjustment. Then I'm talking about the need for specificity and precision in the adjustment. When I'm talking about the nervous system, I'm talking about the need for speed. I'm talking about the need for decompression, like all of these things I'm planting seeds. Then we get to the functional movement stuff, and I'm telling them how we can assist them through corrective exercise to kind of change their engagement patterns and their engagement sequencing and stuff like that. I'm going to use these different concepts. And then whenever we get to the end, I go through the treatment plan. And the treatment plan is generally anywhere between 12 and 24 adjustments. And generally people get 6 corrective exercise sessions with Sarah because nobody moves well. Everybody's coming in with very similar patterns. They all just have different stories. So it's very interesting to get here and see so many vessels walk through the door that have so many similarities in their postural faults. Everybody's in this extension-based posture with hyperextended lordotic lower spine, anterior pelvic tilt, rib flare, upper cross syndrome, like all these things that previously I was like, I don't care about any of that shit. Well, now it's so prevalent. So that is how we go through. I can take you guys all through that again at some point if you want specifics, but I was just trying to give like a big picture view here today. If anybody wants some of the like sales experience stuff that I'll literally walk it through you verbatim, like I would deliver it to a person, and you could kind of download that and save it for your own data bank to use one day. Any other questions? Name of the posture chart. This is chirographics. And I think it's KIRO. KIROGRAFIKS, something like that. Chirographics. And you can customize them all. So we have our logo at the bottom, which is cool because people think we made it, and it's very sleek. Do you want me to give you guys like a quick tour of our office? Yes. All right. This is my office. Skeleton in the corner. Desk. Degree. I love this office. It's blue. Color of trust. You got to figure out your colors as well. We could talk about that sometime too. So our examination room, still not completed, but we have a functional movement assessment area right there with a mat. We have all nervous system posters, Sarah's degrees, a cool move sign, and then, sorry guys, this camera sucks, HRV, and then we just have an AST report in here. So super simple in our exam room. We will be kind of revamping this weekend. The rest of our office is cooler. Can I turn this around? Yeah. I guess not. So this is our kitchenette, the adjusting space. You can see there. So we had, oh, this is cool. Feed the courage, starve the fear. Fucking right when they walk in. Green books, cool little hand globe. And this is a mural that we had painted by one of our clients, which I think is super cool. So it's a brain, nervous system, spine, obviously. Above it is an infinity sign. And he painted that as a third eye, pineal gland, but I think it very closely resembles an atlas. And that was unintentional on his part. So I thought that was super cool. What he didn't realize, and what I pointed out to him, is that the brain looks like a Chinese dragon. And so now every time he comes in and gets adjusted, he can't unsee that. So he's coming in to correct it tomorrow because he doesn't like it. But I think it's cool. But that's kind of like our move tree, our tree of life there. We're going to put it on all our t-shirts. Barnwood wall of the clock. This is the table that I was talking about. So it's the Thule elevation, like 500 table. Like this cushion is just like so soft. I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, I have my favorite part of the practice, a dog bed in the corner of my adjusting space. So Ace gets to hang out with me there all the time. I love this. So it's a subluxation chart. It gives really like layman level education on potential, symptomatology from subluxation, the cervical, thoracic, lumbar spine. People are like, oh, that's me right there. And so it's just, I don't know, kind of gives people a little better understanding. Yeah, thanks, Alex. This is, can you turn the lights on, Ryan? Our office manager has waited on me to leave, I guess. This is our waiting room. Super cool. It's all glass, so people can see me adjusting. I have nothing to hide in there. This is our front desk. This is Ryan. Yep. Cool front desk that one of our clients built us. So like all of this was like pretty much constructed by our community. One of our clients was a contractor, so he built the desk. It was a $10,000 desk. It cost us $1,400 to build. This is the movement space. So all the plants, cool tatami flooring. You can't see it maybe. We have a sign right there that says healing begins here, which I think is fucking sweet. All right, let me just show you the outside.
I know you're
Yes.
crushing it. You're in your flow, but out of respect for not only you but the other people viewing, we don't want to take too much of our evening.
Yeah, I
we
got you,
really
Mason.
appreciate your enthusiasm. It's evident in his entire presentation.
He's cutting me off right
again,
now.
I respect everybody on this call as well as you. I don't want to take any time from you or
For sure.
your office manager. I think we're going to wrap up the call. Is there a good place to reach out and ask you questions? Other
Good at
than
your job, dude.
your Instagram, move_Cairo and yoga.
Yeah, so they can reach out to me in our email. I'll just give you our business email. It's
Sure.
MUV, Cairo and yoga, all spelled out, @gmail.com. And then I'll give out my number. I don't have any problem with that, so people can reach out to me if they'd like to. Spencer, will you put my number in there too? Got it. Cool. Yeah. If anybody wants to kind of dive deeper into some of these concepts, I didn't want to like, get into the weeds. Just kind of give like a zoomed out 300-foot view there. And then, we can dive into some of the specificity if anybody would like to. Work on your skill set. Be a good adjuster.
Again, thank you so much. We really appreciate you hopping on, taking time out of your day. I'm sure everybody on here learned at least something they can take home and apply either, in clinic or just planning for their practice. That being said, if you guys want to hop on, just stay on a little bit longer, but I'm just going to mention that we have two phenomenal philosophy speakers tomorrow. Dr. Rob Sinnott, the writer of the textbook that we're required to read and try one, as well as I'm blanking on the name.
Eric Russell.
Eric Russell. He is currently operating a new position up at Life University, if I'm not mistaken, but that's going to be on tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. So if you're available, we'd love to see you on there.
Cool. Last thing Grant wanted me to tell people is that I am going to be launching a podcast called Conscious Capitalism for the Chiropractor. It's making moves, conscious capitalism for a chiropractor. So be on the lookout for that. It's going to be talking about a lot of this stuff in more in-depth fashion, and I'm going to be talking to some goats. So get some really awesome chiropractors on there to kind of share some of their knowledge with the student base.
You're the GOAT, Trevor.
Thanks, Spencer. All right, guys, appreciate you. Yeah, seriously, if you ever want to reach out and ask any questions, related to student life, transitioning from student to doctor, or just starting a business, let me know.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mason.
Take it easy.
See you guys.